All right. It was a bit packed at this event. So players were on top of each other for this setup. So the life totals on the bottom of the screen are correct. The ones at the top are not. Turn 1 Delver for Dom. There's a polluted Delta for Dave to start the match.
I reveal a card and I get a copy, or if I'm hellbent, I just get any card.
Okay, this one I gotta read. Sorry.
Sure, no worries.
Reveal a card from your hand. Search a card of the same.
Once again, we're watching the life totals at the bottom of the screen, not the top. We unfortunately have 2 phones in the shot. Just a little bit of a goof. We see people in the top of the screen adjusting that one who are not playing in this game, so maybe that makes some sense. Sorry for the confusion.
Yep.
Let's see what Dave Kaplan has in store for us.
Yeah. I got it.
5. I was gonna bring these out. 13.
He's been playing some Reanimator recently. And we saw in an earlier round. Move myself over the top phone? Yeah, maybe. I'll think about it. I don't really want to move it that much. Alright, so unmask themselves, put Archon into the graveyard, and then a Reanimate hitting the stack. Grief was pitched to unmask.
I go to 11, and then I'm going to gain 3, I go to 14.
I had you at 9. Didn't you take 2 from the Fossies?
For Lions, you got it.
17 minus 8 is 9.
And then you go up to 12. I go down to 17.
Yeah, you get
Trigger.
17. I draw a card, you discard.
Okay, so discard this Wasteland.
Alright, Wasteland gets discarded. So Archon of Cruelty will be hard to beat here.
Ponder?
Painter's effect is for the rest of the game. As long as it's on availability. You may play it.
Let's see. I'll draw the one off the Ponder. Fetch down to 16.
On the token. Yeah, no, I got you. You're not.
Why didn't I think of that before?
Go to 18.
Yep.
Torpor.
Yep.
Duh. We have technology, everybody.
Preordain.
Yep. Swords here.
Bottom
Go.
both.
So I took 2, right?
Yeah.
Draw Preordain.
You're at 18 to 12 is what I have.
Okay.
Say go.
Let me think here. The math is a little more complicated.
Yeah.
Alright, attacking with Archon of Cruelty. Discard Uro. Okay.
And then I take the 6, so I'm at 7.
I don't see how Dominic wins this game except for a Brazen Borrower to bounce it. But even that might not be good enough. Double Lotus Petal, cracking a Bloodstained Mire. No creatures left in Dave's yard at the moment.
No. You are? Okay.
Yikes. Okay.
Didn't have that one on the bingo card.
No.
Okay. So Uro triggers. You're just gonna gain 3, draw a card, and then he goes back to the yard, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because he wasn't escaped. Do you want to take it back?
That's okay, I did it.
Okay. So you're gonna gain 3 from Uro, draw a card, and you can put a land into play.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, so Animate Dead doesn't actually work on Earl very well. I think Dave forgot about that for a second. Dominic offered to take back, but Dave declined. It's all good. Gain 3 life, draw a card, put a land in potentially. No land drop was made, but whatever. So Archon of Cruelty still is going to be hard to beat. Oh, there's Petty Theft. There it is. So Brazen Borrower goes on an adventure. No adventure indicator card for Dominic, which is interesting strategy.
I'll draw off. Actually, I'm gonna do it like this, and I'll draw off a ponder. Say go.
All right, so that's a Taiga on Dominic's side of the board. Interesting. Not sure. I mean, it's possible Taiga's just replacing what would be a tropical island in this deck, but I'm not sure you want Taiga and Temur Delver. But what do I know? Alright, so Archon of Cruelty. Wait, what's happening?
Okay, so you don't reveal it to me?
I don't think so, but that's the old wording, so we could look it up if you want, or you want to call a judge.
It's fine. If you think it doesn't happen, I'll take your word.
I'm pretty sure unmask, you do have to reveal your hand. The hand needed to be revealed there, but... Okay, so Animate Dead is revealed. Dominic points out I'm in danger. Yeah, this Archon of Cruelty coming back in next turn is not the best news for Dominic. So Uro getting escaped here.
I have no idea where you got that idea. You've seen 0 cards for me that contain the keyword skull.
Okay, so yeah, these...
What's that card? Wait, reveal top card. Oh, it's explore. Yeah, I remember that.
Uro triggers.
So does initiative?
Brazen bars.
Oh, you're right.
I resent the accusation.
Okay. Uro triggers. I draw a card, go up to 10. Put a land into play.
I was just demoralized by the spear resistance. I just really don't like the art.
Fair.
A counter spell on this Animate Dead could save Dom here. But if it resolves, I think this game ends. Archon of Cruelty is the target of Animate Dead. Seems like that's resolving. And this game may have just ended. Yeah, Keith Master Flex exactly right. That is why you need the Adventure Indicator token. Exactly.
It's out of here.
Yeah, Specchio impressed. Both players are reanimating creatures from the graveyard. Specchio is really impressed.
Oh, I did that during my upload, so go ahead. No. So you get it? Oh, because when I
Right, Dragon's Rage Channeler comes in. That doesn't seem very good at the moment.
In response to the trigger, I'm gonna flash in the Brazen Borrower. Trigger's gonna happen. I'm gonna sack the Brazen Borrower. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm gonna sack the DRC. Go down to 4, discard a Force of Will, and then I will chump with the Brazen Borrower.
I don't know how Dominic wins this game. Is it possible there's another Brazen Borrower in the deck? Or another bounce spell? Is that possible? Faithless Looting here for Dave. All right, so Dom's pointing out in the chat, I play 2 Brazen Borrowers, so that's the out. All right, so that's the out. Atraxa goes into the graveyard for Dave. Reanimate on Atraxa, that definitely seals the deal. All right, 1 card. Going on the bottom. All right, 1 card goes on the bottom for Dave. Wooded Foothills. It gets cracked. Volcanic Island.
Okay, so do I have priority now?
Well, it's my turn still, so I still have.
Okay. So you have to do an action, then I get back.
DRC?
Well, I can
Dragon's Range Channeler comes in. Pass the turn.
I'll play my land.
Okay.
And I will cast Cabal Therapy targeting you.
And I'll respond.
Bloodstained Mire.
All extraction targeting Lotus. This hits hand too, right?
Yes.
Buds with a great question. Against Reanimator, if you're playing blue, is it better to counter the spell that puts the creature into the graveyard, Entomb or Faithless Looting, or better to counter the spell that brings it back, Reanimate, Animate Dead, so on, Exhume? It's better to counter the Enabler. The card that puts the creature into the graveyard, most of the time, the Entomb or Faithless Looting, for example, is better to counter. Now, they could Thought Seize themselves or unmask themselves, let's say, to put a creature into the graveyard. They could, you'll see players often will discard a creature to hand size, let's say. But as Switch Chat is pointing out right now, there's more reanimation spells than there are enablers. So usually that's what you want to do.
Won't trigger again because my first spell of the turn was already cast.
Oh, it is. You're right. Yeah, let's go.
What? 4. I have your
Yeah, if you have surgical extraction, you might make some different choices, for example. Usually, though, most of the time, Entomb or Faithless Looting are the cards you want to counter in the early game. Sometimes the Reanimator player will work around that. Like I said, like unmask themselves or Thought Seize themselves to put a creature into the graveyard and break through your defenses anyway. But, yeah. So a Bayou on the battlefield for Dave here in Game 2. Dragon's Range Channeler and Delver on Dom's side, and only 2 types in the graveyard for Delirium. Badlands, Lotus Petal. Witherbloom Apprentice. Yeah, you can counter their Thoughtseize on themselves. Yeah, so if they start the game with Thoughtseize targeting myself, then there you go. There's an enabler. Yeah.
Bubble Bobble.
I'm gonna
8 and 9.
start. Preordained Surveil.
Play at sorcery speed. Brainstorm comes in and trying to play at sorcery speed. That to me is the bug.
Once the creature is in the graveyard, though, even if they're hellbent, all they need to do is find one of the reanimation spells, and it'll be much harder to stop. So you're like stopping them 2 steps ahead rather than 1 step ahead, if that makes sense. Step 1, put a creature into the graveyard. Step 2, reanimate it.
Wish Claw.
Do you smell what the
Witherbloom Apprentice is on the battlefield right now for Dave. And Mint Chalk with a great question. What's the rationale behind Witherbloom and Reanimator? So we've seen some builds on this channel. Witherbloom Apprentice and Chain of Smog allow you to drain your opponent for infinite damage using the Magecraft ability and Chain of Smog copying itself after Chain of Smog targeting yourself over and over forever. It's a backup plan for Reanimator. You don't need it. You don't need a creature in your graveyard to make it work. And you'll often see if the Witherbloom Apprentice dies, it can just be reanimated. Yeah.
I'll take 2.
Badlands, Sedgemoor Witch. All right, so there's another Magecraft creature with Chain of Smog. Sedgemoor Witch can create infinite pest tokens. Force of Will pitching Daze on Sedgemoor Witch. Sedgemoor Witch also can just, without the combo, be on the battlefield and create a couple of pests and create problems. It's a good creature in this Reanimator deck with a sideboard alternative plan. Have I considered running a pre-modern event at some point? Running events, like being the host of event, is not something that's really on my agenda. Here's a ponder for Dom. And we just haven't featured pre-modern on this channel in quite a while. Hasn't really been a priority. Hosting is a lot of work. Yeah, I just don't have the capacity to put on my own events right now. And even if I did, I think it's better for me to just record or stream matches at someone else's event.
This deck doesn't really sideboard against you, but this was decent.
Surveil.
All right, this bolt is targeting Dave. Surveil puts a Dragon's Rage Channeler into the graveyard. Puts Dave down to 12. Letting the Witherbloom Apprentice live could be dangerous.
Say go.
That was a good
Jace Pink already tired of battles. Yeah. It's not looking like battles are going to make a big impact on Legacy, right? Is everybody in agreement on that? Does anybody disagree with that? Anyone watching live or in the YouTube comments feel like battles are going to potentially be a big part of Legacy? Special deck, but it seems like there'll be pretty few. Yeah, even with Hex Mage, it's too slow. And it's just like, if you have Hex Mage, you might as well just be doing Dark Depth stuff, I guess. Toller Eric says, battles are the next triomes. Yeah, I think that might be a good way to put it. They might even be less popular in Legacy than triomes. All right, so Adam pointing out, I think Battle of Ikoria is super good. That's the one... okay, we see Thoughtseize targeting themselves here. Gristlebrand going into the graveyard. 3. So this is... So back to the question someone was asking earlier. This is why you counter the enablers. So Thoughtseize just put a Gristlebrand into the graveyard. Look at the rest of the hand. Animate Dead, Reanimate, and Exhume. It was way easier for Dave to reanimate a creature than to get one into the graveyard with that hand. Anyway, Surgical on the stack here, targeting Gristlebrand. There's an Entomb in hand now. Still 2-1 in favor of reanimation spells in hand versus enablers in hand, as the Surgical resolves and all the Gristlebrands will get picked out here. Invasion of Alara, some people are high on for Modern. We could totally be, like, if we watch this part of this stream months from now, be like, wow, we were so wrong. Battles are everywhere. I don't know, but we're just speculating based on what we've seen so far, and it looks like they're not going to make a big impact on Legacy as of right now. But Adam in the chat pointing out that Invasion of Ikoria is super good, and could totally be right on that.
Delver trigger. It does not flip. Ponder.
Evaluating new cards is definitely not a strength of mine too. I mean, many times I've been like, oh, this card seems playable, but it was not, or this card seems unplayable, but it was a staple, is way too high.
Draw off the ponder. I'm gonna wasteland your red source. Play a bobble, crack it targeting you.
I don't know if I agree with that, Inkwelder. Inkwelder pointing out that they could have done a retroactive change, that stuff that targets creatures or planeswalkers can also hit battles. I kind of like that they just like have their own lane now. Like they require their own kind of interaction, I guess.
Murktide.
card you would enjoy. Honestly, you would probably enjoy.
He's 5, so he's going to be a 6/6.
Yeah. Or Shadow. I love Grixis Shadow.
Thanks, and I'll hit you for 1. Say go.
You can't show and tell to put in a battle, Specchio. Come on, Specchio. You're supposed to know that.
Delver trigger. Does not flip. Move to combat.
Yes, I did.
Hit you for 7.
Yeah, you missed your last. Yeah.
Library. Say go.
10.
All right, Sylvan Library comes in. Dave facing potentially lethal next turn. This Delver has not flipped yet, but Sylvan Library could help find a bolt, maybe.
Delver trigger.
Delver trigger. It will flip this time. Force of negation.
Good games.
That gets a fist bump, and that's the match.